Again, we think very little because the game has started, so we're going to jump right into that. DrHippi playing red-black, aggro, and Swim playing his red-green ramp with, like the analyst panel said, a very interesting inclusion. Darkseer, he actually infected this meta call on 2 other players. There's 3 Darkseers total in this tournament, so I think he was the one that started pushing this concept this week or 2 weeks ago. So we'll see how it works out for him and for the other players.
Yeah, if you're the kind of person who thinks, hey, the artifact constructed meta is stale, look no further than this particular series, because you're going to see Darkseer, you're going to see Bloodseeker. It is some new, interesting lineups. I mean, not new. Swim's been kind of talking about Darkseer for a little bit before this tournament, so not a surprise, but a surprise.
And the base of the deck is going to be, very similar. Still red-green ramp, still has Stars Align, still has, all the pieces that you see in other red-green ramps, just that different hero and the signature cards. And like you mentioned, we're going to see Mono Black later on as well. DrHippi is playing, I think, a much better version than Silvername's Mono Black that he played in the first WePlay tournament, but still Mono Black nonetheless, so going to be very interesting to see.
Now, Swim, with that draw, picks up some powerful cards in Mist of Avernus and Time of Triumph. Now, one of the things that was interesting about this deploy was Swim decided to put his second green hero in the same lane as this one, but there was kind of 2 reasonings behind that. 1, this treant is likely going to die, so they're not really going to be doubled up. And 2, because of the placement in the other lanes, Darkseer would have ended up in front of either Legion Commander or Phantom Assassin, and that's no es bueno as well. So.
And not only that, Darkseer allows you to overcommit into lane 1, which is the lane that's most important most of the time in Artifact, and then slowly start funneling your resources out of there every 2 turns. You can, start moving away your heroes, your creeps, even like Flak Sled, and it's just, I think, almost always correct, more than any other hero to put Darkseer in lane 1.
They'd also maximize the number of bodies that were here, so if you expected Sorlakan to come here, this was a great way to say, no, you don't get to touch my tower.
Yep.
Now, DrHippi has a couple of different plays at his disposal here. We could see maybe an early duel, because if you take out the treant with the duel, then Bristle hits the tower and it gets the armor. But I like this Legion Standard Bearer as well. Gets a lot of damage in on Darkseer. And now we have a staring contest with some viscous nasal goos likely going off.
A very boring lane 2, just direct damage to tower. The same cards in hand, basically duels and viscous nasal goo, which won't really do much to affect the outcome of this turn. So
it's just 2 beefy red heroes that have a bit of a cold, right? They're sneezing on each other. Nothing to see here. Now, normally Bristleback is the hero that just eats Phantom Assassin, but this unfortunate arrow means that Phantom Assassin gets some revenge and
the tag team from the creep as well.
Yeah, cleans up that Bristleback.
And we see double march in hand for DrHippi, but because the wide lane is the first one, it's kind of unfortunate both for the miss last turn in Swim's hand and also now for the March of the Machines, because you can't get that action proc this turn. Although we talked about it before, with March you don't really lose that much value because it has that limit. It has 3 charges only, so if you don't get the full effect this turn, you'll get it over the next few turns.
Now, one of the interesting things about Swim's list is the inclusion of that single phase boots. We saw it come up at the end. He couldn't purchase it, but Darkseer getting a lot of attention as a different inclusion in this red-green list. But phase boosts is also not something that's traditionally included. I'm a big fan of the card, so I'm excited to see Swim bring it.
Now we'll see what draws there are here. If Stars Align is drawn or favor, this could mean a Time of Triumph next turn. Double Emissary as well, but Darkseer might just be dying here. Not much. Well, he can duel the Mercenary Eagles, I guess, but there's still duels in hand for DrHippi.
Yeah, Swim might lose some heroes and some positioning this round, but the good news for Swim is he has all of the tools to start going off as early as next round, right? He's going to be at mana turn 8. We've got Time of Triumph in hand. We've got Emissaries in hand.
Talking about it before, the way that Celebrating Favor works, you play it, you get 2 mana back, so it only costs 2 mana, and it opens up the duels to come down and the Under Secrets as well, while also still establishing the ramp in lane 1. And you didn't have many other plays otherwise because the 8 mana threshold wasn't quite there yet this turn, which means that, just a great combo there from Swim. Can play Under Secrets in lane 3, for example, get some extra card draw, maybe find Stars Align.
Just what I needed.
Has a cloak as well to keep his Darkseer healthy, and because that pump only works every 2 turns, it's a 2-turn active, it can't be pumped again. And again, only 1 gold, so wouldn't be doing much.
I was going to say, we might see a duel here because this means Bristle will take out Darkseer and still have enough to survive just because of the armor on it. So Not necessarily facing lethal from the Legion Commander here. And DrHippi has a phase boots as well, so even if Swim says, okay, like I want to duel you back, then could have repositioned the Bristle, but instead just wants to take some damage off the board. Reduce the damage done to the tower. Pick up that 1 gold for killing a creep as well.
The creep facing Sorla will still die, but you know, with this board being a little bit less wide for DrHippi, it means that maybe Sorla has a higher chance of being blocked again by a creep spawn next turn. So Swim obviously thinking about every little minute detail that he can think about to try and get the edge in the matchup.
Now, I'm a little surprised that the phase boots went where it did there for DrHippi, because Sorla was in that lane, typically somebody that you want phase boots on, and the Sorla could have even traded spots with the Mercenary Exiles and waxed that tower.
And there's the March of the Machine, talking about it not having value this turn, but the upkeep kill on Legion is going to be huge next turn, going to weaken this creep as well, and just going to, you know, this lane is a lane that really Swim can't give up. He has the favor down, he has the mist down, it's lane 1, but DrHippi's making it very unappealing. He has 3 heroes and the March of the Machines there as well. And
Swim says, I don't care how unappealing this looks. Well, I'm going to go in.
Time of Triumph is an option, so that makes things look a lot better.
Yeah, I'm a little, again, surprised by that phase boots, because that tells me, like, if you're not going to whack the tower and kind of protect or at least mobilize that Sorla, that tells me that for some reason DrHippi really values this Tinker, staying alive and in this lane.
And the armor from Treant saves the Legion, so what a play there from Swim. That is, of course, you know, a little bit up to luck because it has to land the Treant right next to Legion, but that was just a great turnout for Swim for sure. If he had a Blink Dagger here, that would, I'm not saying it would be game, but it would be a game changer for sure. You could have blinked the Treant out to lane 2, Stars Align into an Emissary, and just keep on going, keep on, you know, adding up this ramp pressure. But in this case, only Town Portal Scroll, so can't really do that play just yet. But still, the board's being cleared. You're dealing 12 siege damage. You have 3 Hero Time of Triumph on mana turn 6. It's looking good for Swim.
Yeah. Swim kind of coming down and saying, listen, I was on the desk this last time, guys. Let me show you what some 200 IQ plays are like by RNGing my Treant into the right position. That's all skill. So DrHippi here, 6 mana available, which means that all of the cards in his hand available to play. Could consider coup de grace, could start trying to set up for other lanes if you want to maybe hit something with the March of the Machines.
Jasper Dagger going through 7 armor, so pretty value there for 5 gold. Not too shabby for DrHippi.
Too shabby. Now, if you're DrHippi, like you just got hit by a 3 hero Time of Triumph. Do you like give this lane up, or do you just continue pushing? Now, again, killed the hero that was in front of the Sorla, so we're going to get some damage through here. I can't help but, you know, again, wonder about maybe if 14 damage the previous turn would have been really beneficial here.
Yeah.
I'm not calling it a misplay. I'm just saying that it was a different line.
The 3-point defense there with the disarm, with the Jasper Daggers, and with the coup onto the Legion, I believe it was, or the Bristleback rather, opens up just damage to the tower and also just keeps, you know, his own board still alive. Kept Tinker alive with disarm, allowed Tinker to survive, and also Sorla as well.
Now, Swim has the Town Portal Scroll in hand, and do you consider using it here? I mean, you still have to pressure 2 towers, so getting some damage slowly over time here makes sense, but that first lane isn't looking very good at the moment.
I like the Bronze Legionnaire more. It just threatens the kill on Legion due to the -1 armor, deals 5 damage, and it does trade, but still.
Yeah.
You're now forcing Legion to either, just Town Portal Scroll or duel the Axe instead, and just trade the kill instead, and just leave the Bronze Legionnaire by itself here.
Right. I mean, potentially like post this. So my reason here is that with Darkseer coming down, you've got no red heroes in that first lane. You might have considered wanting to go and defend, because this is looking pretty poor as well. So you're behind in 2 lanes, right?
Well, I mean, you have Darkseer coming down. You don't really have AoE removal from black. So you could have a coup, but that's only one hero. You have 2 heroes instead, and you have the emissary to block as well. You're at 8 mana or 9 mana next turn anyway. So, but this ancient, you know, not now, but in a few turns could be a problem. So we'll see how Swim reacts to this if he ends up redeploying here in some way. He could maybe Darkseer the Treant if he thinks that he's safe enough in lane 1.
Absolutely.
To lane 3 with 2 creeps there as well.
2 creeps there is
Stars
huge.
aligned into emissary, so that's, like they mentioned before, Darkseer very versatile and could be finally showing off his abilities here.
And Swim proven to me that, you know, why worry about things when you can just get RNG to help you out, right? A Treant here, some creeps there.
The game plan's still there.
He's been practicing this.
You have to decide to play Darkseer in this deck for that to happen, and that's a tough decision, but maybe it will pay off for Swim here in the end.
True story, if you put in enough hours in Artifact, all of the RNG outcomes automatically just go in your favor. Fact. 100%.
The coup might be a problem. One of these heroes will be going down, so maybe the Darkseer Treant combo might not work out just... And maybe it's too risky. I mean, because the coup comes down on Darkseer, Sorla goes through, it's a ton of damage. So maybe it's a bit too risky to go down that.
Well, I mean, you do have the phase boots on the Tinker, which can swap with the Sorla, though, as well. So I do kind of like maybe coup on the Treant.
And the fact that Tinker is also curving into Treant means that...
Right.
You can't really Darkseer the Treant away this turn. Although it is the first tower. But this tower is looking, 8 HP. A little unhealthy.
There's a lot of consideration going into this play by DrHippi because it is very important. And we see the second phase boots come down.
See the deck list here for Swim. Triple Emissary. Triple Time of Triumph, so he has all the big plays. And just it's very standard. He has a Darkseer, of course, but other than that, just a very standard red-green ramp list. Something in his favor, stars align. He has the high roll potential.
One thing I'll point out that is not standard is 3-spot weakness as well. And that actually might end up being very relevant with the number of Vestures we've been seeing between yesterday and today, because those do, at least for the turn, help you push through armor that is on a tower or on heroes. So might be a very, very good meta call by Swim.
So the patience from Swim here. The coup goes down, only 1 mana now available, and this is a time where Emissary can come down for Swim, block the damage from the Sorla, and make sure to, keep everything healthy. Saves this creep as well.
Yeah.
So very patient play from Swim. Lets his opponent, use his mana. He knows he has 2 green heroes, so even if one goes down to something like a coup, which does happen, which is kind of the worst thing that could have happened, he still has a way to respond.
Yeah, that was a very hard decision for DrHippi there, because again, both of those were very coup-able targets is the way that I'll call it, right? Because the Treant would have freed up the damage from the creep, would have freed up the damage from Tinker, and then you could have swapped if you wanted Sorla to get through. But you also want to get rid of Darkseer because you don't want that hero shipping creeps or shipping heroes to other lanes, so kind of a tough call there.
Surprises
And Swim likely going to play this Unearthed Secrets.
I think he knows he can't get any kind of ramp acceleration strategy going with Stars Align, because next turn's already going to be 8 mana naturally, so he doesn't get that much benefit from it. So he knows that maybe the better thing to do is just use it for Unearthed Secrets this turn. It guarantees value on the last lane.
I mean, there's no reason to not cycle these cards and then just find more impactful plays as well. The Unearthed Secrets isn't really helping you right now, but if you draw another Time of Triumph or a Spring the Trap or something like that, it's just much better value at this point.
Now the Spring, I'm going to imagine, is going to go down on lane 2. And Swim will, I think, try just to race down lane 1 and 2 and just ignore lane 3 for now, even with the Nevermore there. And those 2 creeps really do slow down that lane as well, taking down 2 creeps with them.
It might have been a different story if those 2 creeps did not end up there, but I agree with you. I think this is probably going to be Spring the Trap here just to accelerate the clock. Puts Swim essentially in full control of the tempo of the game. He's going to take his time.
And only 1 redeploy as well for DrHippi, which means that going to have a hard time defending against, 2 redeploys for Swim and a very strong lane 1 and 2 as well.
Yeah, and not just any 2 redeploys, but some that had Time of Triumph. And Swim says, I got this middle under control. I know that DrHippi, if they want to defend that first lane, has to go there with their 1 redeploy, so I'll just leave this here.
He has the blink as well to maybe overcommit lane 1 and then slowly phase out with Blink Dagger and help out lane 2 instead next turn. I think Swim knows that DrHippi can't really contest lane 2 because he has one tower. He has to work on getting the second tower, which is the lane 1 tower where it's already quite low.
Absolutely, and again, with those 2 creeps going into the third lane, it really reduces the risk of getting killed by a one-turn Ancient, right? So that tower was going down either way this round, or excuse me, this previous round that just passed, but this one that's upcoming, if you were potentially worried about the Ancient, then those creeps really reduced that risk.
We'll see Bristleback.
And Swim says, I like Barbed Mail over Stonehall Cloak.
So Bristleback goes lane 2 instead. Maybe he just thinks, DrHippi thinks he just can't defend lane 1 because he has Spring the Trap, he has Time and Triumph as well, but Swim reads this, going to play a very balanced redeployment here. 1 hero in each lane, or not.
15 seconds remaining.
Or yes.
Yeah, I think he was just kind of figuring out which one he wanted to go where, but balanced in this scenario makes an awful lot of sense. Because of the Blink Dagger, you can put this here, realize not much is gonna go on. I think that we might see a duel here just to ensure this, and then you'll blink over, and then in the following lane you'll have things like Emissary and so forth to
might just
kind of close that out.
A duel into, or you could just duel, keep initiative and duel with the Bristleback onto Bristleback in lane 2, yeah, or play Emissary first.
At the quorum's behest.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is when you have all of these amazing high-impact cards in your hand and you've got multiple Time of Triumph heroes, you can kind of do whatever you want. You can Emissary here, you can Emissary there, you can duel this, duel that. It's not looking good for DrHippi.
You might just move the Trine out just to have the Emissary play in lane 2 as well. I mean, this is just a bit overkill. Swim drew all of his ramp, all of his finishers, all his payoff cards, and just really... There's no real way to misplay here at this point, I think. You could have dueled the Sorla first, but there's not much Sorla can do against this lane. Just duel her later anyway. So assert dominance. Maybe stop a Blink Dagger from coming down if you expect that item to be a Blink Dagger, but 84 damage on this tower. I think the Ancient race is very much in favor of Swim with 3 emissaries, 2 on board.
Absolutely. This is a very heads up, making sure you play to your outs play, because even if you expect to take this middle lane, by doing both the Emissary and the duel here to ensure that this goes down, now if you don't take the second lane, you still threaten the Ancient here the following round, and you would win before Hippie could close it out. So this is just Swim being very tight in his play, very conservative. I like everything about that sequence.
Easily takes down lane 1, and the mist as well to help even more next turn. So
and
if we can make it that far.
And another Emissary tap on top of it. So again, very likely to take this down, but Swim saying, hey, on the off chance that I don't get it, we'll take it. But DrHippi,
the hand there for DrHippi, it had really just nothing. It had Viscous Nasal doing a duel, and with Time and Triumph heroes, very beefy heroes, it was hard to try and block damage. No creeps or chump block either. So yeah, just looked like a contested game in the mid game, but the late game Swim just started playing his Emissaries, his Time of Triumph, and there was not much that DrHippi could do there.
Yeah, basically the moment that Swim stopped playing by the rules and started just playing really expensive things very early, it got out of hand. Shout out to DrHippi for giving Swim the blue button. We don't see that a lot there, so very sportsman-like.
And we'll see Swim move on to his mono blue list after winning with red green, so now he has to win with his second deck. This is a conquest format for those that don't remember or haven't watched the day 1 of this tournament. Players that win with one deck, that deck gets kind of discarded, and you have to win with the second deck instead, so we're going to see a lot of variety as well. The decks played in this group, and Swim will be moving on to mono blue, whereas DrHippi can still decide to play red black again or move on to his second deck, which is
mono black.
Mono black, yes,
right.
Of course. Very
and I'll be honest, I kind of want him to play the mono black just because I want to see that list, because it has Bloodseeker in it. So it's going to be a little unorthodox. I would love to see a switch, but sadly not the case. Now, Swim playing this 43-card mono blue list. He has a lot of experience with it, a lot of time. So I expect expert piloting to occur. DrHippi has an early Oath in hand something that we did not see last time, so hopefully that will help him out in trying to pressure this blue list early and often.
And this is turn 1 duel.
Turn 1 duel.
Controversial.
With Bristleback not gaining armor from it. So.
But you're killing Luna. You're denying the Eclipse charges early on, just making sure to stay on top of that for the rest of the game. And because this will be, in theory, quite a long game. Mono Blue is the stall deck alongside maybe Real Man's Black-Blue control.
Now, there is a chance that Swim kind of looked at this board and said, hey, if I take this duel in the first lane and I know I'm going to take Zeus out in the second lane, then that gives me 2 very early options for generating pressure, and I know I need to race this list. So this might have just been strictly a tempo duel, and with the second one in hand, it's not as impactful, you know, in terms of like wasting it. So, wow. Early Hourglass pickup by DrHippi might be very, very good.
Against every other matchup, it's good. It's above average. It's okay. But against this matchup that relies so much on cantrips and cycle cards like Cunning Plans and Compels and Foresights, which you see in hand, it is detrimental. I mean, you're going to be stalling those draws out for 2 more turns, or 1 more turn rather. It could be, you know, really impactful.
Yeah, that is a great pickup for DrHippi here. And DrHippi was looking to put Sorla in that first lane, right? Because you've got the creeps there and you're maximizing your chance of hitting the tower, but says, you know, Canna likes to try to take the first lane. We've talked about it a little bit yesterday. I think is properly reading this and dodges it. I like that deploy there by DrHippi.
We have the Ignite as well. We have the chance for a Prey on the Weak maybe. This is great synergy already here. You know, a ton of damage units with a very wide lane for DrHippi. So, but this is already going to be maybe a lane down with the Oath. Assault ladders.
We might. I was going to say we might just see assault ladders because that would put it dangerously low by itself and save the Oath for something more impactful to close out a game. Now, it is important that DrHippi gets this damage in because next turn, Swim's going to get 3 hero deploys. So we talk about windows of opportunity and kind of this, you know, back and forth. Swim will have a lot of options available next turn.
DrHippi, he's going to be, or not playing Stonehall Lead, so I like this. Swim sees the stall play from DrHippi to try and maybe find a Dimensional Portal or Prey on the Weak target for Stonehall Lead to get beefier. Could have played the Foresight, but didn't. And it basically skips the turn of DrHippi and cannot play at Stonehall Lead in lane 1. So I'm not sure if it's correct because you're missing out also on playing Foresight, but it's interesting for sure.
And it does look like our prediction was correct. We see the Assault Ladders and not the Oath. Sorla also gets the Hourglass to get a little more health there and slow down some draws.
So this is smart by Swim. So it looked like he lost value on playing not playing the Foresight lane 1, but he only had that play available. Even if he drew into other plays like Prey on the Weak for lane 3, it's going to be locked anyway. So there was no need actually to play that into lane 1. So because of his hand in the situation, he was able to take away value from DrHippi's play by doing that, you know, taking his skip and skipping himself and just locking him out of that lane 1 play and still getting the full value from his cards. So really heads up play by Swim. It shows he's really thinking about every single small thing in this matchup that can go in his favor.
Yeah, and if you're new to Artifact and you don't understand how the lock works, a locked card, it cannot be played until the time on the lock runs out, but it only goes till the end of the round. So even though Swim drew those cards and they were locked, the round ends after lane 3 and they are now available this turn. Now the cards that Swim draws this turn, however, will still be locked for this entire round.
And the fact that Sorla is alone in that lane 2 alongside Legion Commander means that that lock isn't going to be contested. There isn't going to be anything killing it for now at least, unless something deploys in that lane, which doesn't seem to be likely. And that means that, you know, there's nothing you can do about the Hourglass. And you continue to lock your cards.
15 seconds remaining.
Well, Skywrath Mage might have something to say about that.
Yeah, I was a little shocked that Swim was considering leaving that completely open. Like, yes, it's going to likely fall this round either way, but going into mana turn 6, if you are not going to have a blue hero there, and you're facing a deck that has the potential to do something silly like double Oath, you could just accidentally lose. So I like that reconsideration of the deploy.
And do you think we see DrHippi just focusing on that 100%? He could gank from this lane and kill the Skywrath Mage just to 100% guarantee nothing can happen at this point. He can play the Stonehall Elite to make the lane wider and then save the Oath for next turn, maybe?
It's certainly a possibility, and the reason that I like that potential play is because Skywrath goes away, and right now Swim does not have enough gold to buy a Blink Dagger and has no items in hand, so you know he does not have a Town Portal Scroll. So you are essentially saying, not only do I get this tower, but if I do get a really good draw, if I get that second Oath or I get something else, I might be able to really pressure this for the Ancient the following turn.
And now he could find some gold by killing the Phantom Assassin in the last lane. If he plays Prey on the weak there, gets the zap from Zeus, and they trade, but the Town Portal Scroll is there for DrHippi as well, so if DrHippi looks to end this next turn, maybe in lane 2, he finds it, but he depend on the draws a bit too much.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Now, he instead does play the Cheeseburger Man, and this is also acceptable because you can always just choose to gank next turn.
Or duel even with the Legion Commander onto Skywrath if you have initiative, which he does right now.
Yep, that's also a line. Just not overcommitting quite yet. Doesn't really want to tip his hand. He knows that Swim is a very good player, and one of the things that Swim is very good at as well is like reading what the opponent wants to do, right? So if you're trying to catch him by surprise, you really have to wait kind of till the last moment.
And no more plays available for Swim because of that lock, which means that now he's completely locked out. Now, initiative doesn't matter either because you can't play any cards. You can play the ability, of course, from Skywrath Mage, but little else. And
there is no cards in Swim's hand that he can play because of being on 5 mana. Now, DrHippi doesn't know this, so he's going to make some plays to play around it. I like this March. Yeah. Cleans up the Prey on the weak.
Playing very safe, not going all into that Ancient kill potential because something could go wrong. A blue hero could eventually make his way there, annihilate, and then it's all over and you lose out the other 2 lanes. So playing very smart, but very safe. Obviously not going all in. Normally not the right answer.
Well, and again, we kind of talked about how because you can potentially gank from the first lane, if you just redeploy the Tinker and then play the gank again, you can wait, see if you get enough creeps or get enough tools to try to push the Ancient this turn, and then if not, no harm, no foul. So very patient. Yeah, doesn't get the creep help.
No Blink Dagger from DrHippi is also pretty massive in terms of trying to redeploy that lane 1 Tinker or Bristleback after the fact and try and get that Ancient kill this turn maybe if he gets the right Oath draw, for example, in lane 2.
Yeah, if those 2 creeps would have went mid, there is a possibility that a second Oath draw would have been very enticing for DrHippi to make that play, but
those curves aren't helping lane 2, but I'm going to expect something to be done about that, maybe just a duel from Legion. We don't see second Oath. We do see a Massacre going down here, and all of a sudden, maybe you just need to take down these 2 towers instead of just the Ancient.
Yeah, it's entirely reasonable that we see some plays to clean these up. Duel is, again, a very cost-efficient card, so the later the game goes, the more impactful they can be. But Mystic Flare says, not today.
Now, the fact that you can refresh here means that even if DrHippi duels to try and clear some space here and do some direct damage to the tower, the refresh and Mystic Flare will kill, unless the phase which are equipped, both of these units, both Bristleback and the Stonehall Elite.
Now, there is an actual line of playing here. You could still consider 2 duels, because if you duel the creep in front of the Stonehall, it's also going to get the buff. That'll be representing 8 damage. You could duel the creep in front of Bristleback, which would be 8 damage, and then if you throw on the Jasper Daggers, that would have been 2 shy of closing this out.
But with the Sanctum and the Mystic Flare, or the chance of having a kill spell like Mystic Flare or Eclipse and those very low health pools, it will be very risky. So the kind of safer play here is DrHippi just kills Ikana, kills one of the creeps.
Yep.
I would have probably liked to see maybe the Stonehall Elite creep being freed instead because it gets the value over time modify effect on Stonehall Elite and also just pushes through 8 damage. But if you want to keep Jasper Dagger, this is 2 more damage as well.
Yeah, this represents the most damage that you could do to the tower this turn, and Stonehall's going to get buffed either way, so again, could have went the risky line, decided to go conservative, and that is the sign of a pro and not somebody antsy like me who wants to do big flashy plays.
Now it's down to 8, but 2 charges still on March on the Machines, another March in hand. Could we just see 2 Marches go down in lane 1 and just let the Marches do its thing? This is already an Ancient tower, so it's already done.
I mean, I think that is something that is likely going to happen. I don't know if we're going to see it come from the second lane, though. I would actually imagine the play to maybe come over from the third lane, but
we could see a gank here onto Skywrath Mage to push damage if you'd like to.
No, they're just going to do it now. Okay. So really putting the pressure on that first lane. Swim is not in a good position. Not enough gold to buy a Vesture. Should one just randomly appear in the shop. And unfortunately, Annihilation does not help you against those improvements.
Every single hero in Swim's deck is now currently in the graveyard. Going to be Luna and Zeus coming back from deployment this turn. No routed in the deck for DrHippi, unfortunately. Would have been nice.
Yeah, and thinking about other potential outs, right? Like, even if Swim were to find something like a Demagicking Maul or an Obliterating Orb, the presence in the lane still has to be dealt with as well. So that first lane is under heavy pressure, and, you know, we can see the shop here. Swim does not have those options, but even if he had, DrHippi is gotta like where he is at in terms of this particular game. Might be seeing a game 3.
2 creeps in lane 2 will block a lot of that damage onto the Ancient, especially if they block Sorla and Legion. So that, you know, line of play is a bit lost at this point.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see an Ancient fall. I personally think we're about to see a win in this first lane, because if it's not this round, the following round with those March of the Machines is going to wrap it up.
We're at 7 mana, Thunder God's Wrath and Sanctum, so you can do double Thunder God's Wrath. If there isn't a kill spell here from red, you need Berserker's Call or Duel. Initiative is in the favor of Swim either way. You don't find it. Only black cards, so Bristleback is currently, you know, cannot do anything here. And yeah, full control to Swim. He doesn't know it though, so we'll see how he plays this out. And this Thunder God Wrath will clear Phantom Assassin, and the second one will clear everything on the board actually. So it was Solitaire mode for a second there for DrHippi, and now it's Solitaire mode for Swim instead. Yeah,
unfortunately though, if Swim does not find a Vesture, actually, even if Swim finds a Vesture, it's not going to help him because he won't have time to deploy it. The March of the Machines are going to damage this tower before the action phase.
And there seems to be no block here either way for the damage going into lane 1. I mean, he has to find a Foresight or Cunning Plan into some form of block or kill spell onto the... But at 3, yeah, with the Hourglass here as well, yeah, it's over. I mean, the zap's not enough. The damage goes through, and yeah, the lane goes down. So a lot of stall, but maybe not enough creeps. You don't have it on the zombies. You only have the Dimensional Portal and Prey on the weaks, and you didn't find it. And the Hourglass also being extremely impactful in terms of, you know, you have maybe that one chance at an out, but all of a sudden you have no outs because you're getting locked anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to game 3. DrHippi managed to pull that one in. We do finally get to see this mono black list. It's going to be our first appearance of Bloodseeker in one of these big tournaments. How do you feel about Bloodseeker?
Not too good. I don't play him in draft, but he got a little bit better. He got that, you know, a bit of a buff, and his silence does work as a, you know, a pseudo gust as well. Can you know, do a lot of things against red green, for example, stopping Time of Triumphs or emissaries, and also against mono blue with bolts and some very impactful cards later on. So we'll see how it plays out. But mono black against mono blue, this is a matchup I think we've maybe never seen.
Black and blue is going to be a bruising matchup.
We're going to jump right into the game, but we didn't see this because Silvername played mono black in the last WePlay tournament, but only Mellow played mono blue. It wasn't really popular back then. And so this is going to be the first time, I believe, unless they were in the same group, and I don't think so. They weren't.
Now, you know, Bloodseeker kind of gets a rap for not being a very good hero, but it does have, you know, after the adjustment, 7 health, so it is a decent target to gank other heroes with. And then the signature card, Blood Rage, as you said, can act in many ways as a gust or at least some form of silence. And the fact that it also gives the bonus to a unit means that sometimes you can buff a creep just to push extra damage to a tower. That might be relevant later on as well.
This is a great hand from Swim. A lot of the, you know, tools you need mana turn 4. Also dodges 2 of those combat exchanges in lane 1 and 2. So pretty good odds, even though Ogre dies. I think he's still pretty happy about what happened there, especially with Luna surviving, for example. One more turn at least.
Now, one of the things to highlight is that black as a color does something that the other colors doesn't do nearly as well, and that is it is mobile and it has a lot of cross-lane cards. He has the ganks, but you also have the assassinates because this list runs sniper. And, you know, Annihilation is a bit of a boogeyman in the mono blue list, but you can't play Annihilation if your heroes are killed from a different lane, right? So maybe perhaps DrHippi brought this list expecting mono blue, and this might be something that he is specifically targeting.
We talked about the fact, well, you know, how to counter mono blue. After the Seed Story Cup tournament, a lot of players started discussing, you know, how can you counter this deck? How can you beat this deck? And one of we saw in the, you know, semifinals, I believe, and the final as well, where gank came in very clutch. And now if you expand on that and start playing Assassinate, play Pick Off, play Steam Cannon, which are cross lane every single turn 4 damage spells. When a blue hero only has, you know, 6, 7 health, all of a sudden 4 damage is more than 50%. That's a huge play to make. So
Yeah, taking it even a step further, right? You also have Lich in this lineup, so the Chain Frost is very good against heroes that do not have armor and have low health pools, and it also does grant initiative, which is very important in the blue matchup. This might actually, we were kind of laughing about Bloodseeker and it being mono black. This might be a list tailor-made to beat blue.
Yeah, the tricky thing is, though, that black heroes have a lot going for them. Initiative with Hipfire and Chain Frost, for example. Cross-lane spells, mobility, direct damage with Hipfire as well, and just certain, spells that just instantly kill something. But they have very little health pools. So things like Eclipse, things like Mystic Flare, things like Thunder God's Wrath with Sanctum. Your board's going to get cleared for sure if you have a Zeus with, or any blue hero with 2 Thunder God's Wraths and a Sanctum. Already only one, we see it here.
So in short, this is going to be exciting. There's going to be some quality back and forth, and I think both players are going to be doing a great job of trying to predict what the other ones are doing and answer it. And again, looking at this list, you see the 3 pickoffs, which I like. You see the turrets, steam cannons.
But not only that, you see the paydays in hand, you see the bounty hunter, you see the hero kills coming down. No tracks just yet, but this is, also going to be leaning towards a gold generation deck. And, I mean, if anything says that, it's 3 Vestures and 3 Horn of the Alpha. 6 expensive. It might be a bit too much, but we'll see.
Yeah. Now, the Vestures are actually really important against mono blue because blue likes to offer like chip damage, right, to set up the bolts. And Vesture is great at slowing down Prey on the Weak, great at slowing down Dimensional Portal. Another important thing here is that this list runs Ironfang Goldmine on top of the paydays, so you can get pretty consistent gold generation, and blue doesn't have a great way to remove those.
Fight for the dire and be rewarded.
Now we see Blood Rage, a great effect. It can silence creeps, which don't have any effect other than that. So it really just reads as +4 to any creep unit, and in this case, it's able to kill a Luna, which is massive. So very versatile card, and DrHippi definitely knows how to use it.
Yeah, thank you, DrHippi, for playing it on a creep after we mentioned it and making us look like we know what we're talking about.
Keen Folk Turret, the sooner it comes down, the better. There is no cap. It doesn't have charges like March of the Machines. The sooner you play this every single turn, you can deal 2 piercing damage to a unit. Against this list, the piercing won't come in too clutch because there's not much armor in general, but still, 2 damage every single turn to pick off some of these small units, open up some tower damage maybe with Bounty Hunter or a few black heroes that are more powerful, could be pretty impactful.
Now, one of the other things that you had mentioned was that low health pools on the black heroes can sometimes mean that they get cleared up by the direct damage of blue, right? Bloodseeker, again, we kind of keep talking about him. His passive keeps topping his health off, right? So you can use him in terms of like as a gank, for example, right? And then still be comfortable that after combat, he's going to be topped off and survive.
And there is the first Horn comes in. I know Slack's wanted to see a bit more power with these item purchases instead of stalling with the Vestures. So the Horn comes in. Still 21 gold available, but there is a Blink Dagger instead of a Vesture there, so can't really buy it. And DrHippi gonna,
Yeah, I like the patience there, because if you get, your 3rd payday, or again, you wait 1 turn, you're likely going to have enough gold to get a 2nd Horn if it pops up in the shop. You don't need the Blink Dagger right now. I like the patience there with that purchase.
And mana turn 5 means that there isn't really a way for you to play around the Horn. If the Horn is equipped, it has the active ability to have to activate yourself after giving your opponent preference first for an action. But because there isn't, the 6 mana turn where you have Eclipse, Mystic Flares to can maybe kill these, weaker black heroes, you can't really counter it this turn.
Right. The only cheap card that might be able to answer it would be something like an At Any Cost, but because of the 4 health that the Horn also grants, it's really unlikely that it's going to be on a hero low enough where that would stop it.
Initiative is in favor of Swim, though, and he does have a Sanctum, so...
Now we see a Coordinated Assault picked up. We see another Blood Rage picked up. Swim has some cards that he can play, but nothing really spectacular here when you compare it to the hand of DrHippi. All things are coming up hippie right now.
And the importance of lane 1 in this matchup cannot be stated enough. Thunder God's Wrath and Assassinate both work much better from lane 1, and it gives you full control over how the rest of the lanes play out as well. It gives you that preference to just silence a lane completely if you can kill a hero there before it even goes to that lane. So I think both players are definitely going to be contesting this lane the entirety of this match.
Now that Skywrath Mage activation, I like that a lot. Because if you were to play Horn of the Alpha or a Cloak or something on that Lich, for example, and then you were to follow that up with at any cost, it would actually clear that out.
Will change the course of battle.
Because of the -2 armor, it actually amplifies the damage. So DrHippi places the cloak just to see if, you know, hey, is this what you were thinking, Swim? Are you baiting me? Now we know that's not the case, but...
And he is running, of course, 3 copies, one of the most powerful cards in blue, I think, for that mana cost, similar to Duel or something like a Bronze Legionnaire. Just so cheap and still so impactful to the board in the right situation. So he could find it, though. He has the Sanctum, he has the Foresight, Cunning Plan to draw as well. Arcing Assault even, but probably not the best choice right now.
The weak must be stomped out.
Going to go for Prey on the Weak instead, so I think that definitely means that the any cost is not coming down.
Right, that is very telling.
A next level mind game otherwise from Swim.
Very, very telling. So DrHippi says, okay, I can draw, maybe see if I can find something else worth playing. I like the Tyler Estate Center pickup here.
Although not massive, because if you go from 5 mana down to 4, it's not going to be too impactful, I think, on the plays that Swim can make. We see everything at 4 or under.
It's not impactful this turn, but it would keep you from getting to 6 the next turn, and the 8 health on the center means that it would survive and at any cost if Swim was doing the next level bait. So I do enjoy the idea of an Estate Center here, but Coordinated Assault's pretty good as well.
That guarantees the kill on Kana with a +2 attack there. It's a modify effect as well, so it means that
long-term value.
But the Cunning Plan will play around that, draws a card as well for Swim. A second Foresight was drawn there, I believe. And the pass from DrHippi, which means that he might not be equipping Horn of the Alpha here.
Oh, we might be seeing that come down in this lane.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with this. Bloodseeker is pretty resilient on its own, but if you put Horn on Sniper, he's more likely to survive and get to his activation the following turn.
Could see a Tyler Estate here, or even a Keenfolk Turret would trade with the Zeus there. No weapon to be equipped, so nothing that can really boost unless you play Blood Rage on Sniper, which is also a possibility. But Keenfolk Turret is the better value play. You don't see an item either in hand for Swim, so there's no way to counter that 2 damage onto the Zeus.
And Sensor comes down here, and arrows over. Wasn't necessary.
Now, there could have been a bit more patience from DrHippi, because the Zeus zap here will kill the creep, and you could have traded with that creep instead with the Tyler Estate, getting a bit more value from that combat phase trade. But in the end, still less than not with the Horn. So maybe just playing the Horn in the last lane. Just let this Phantom Assassin do its thing. And it allows for a gank maybe as well, potentially, into lane 1 or 2.
And it essentially means that DrHippi is pressuring all 3 lanes at once. And as we've seen in day 1, right, pressuring all 3 lanes really hurts Mono Blue, because if you annihilate one lane, you give up initiative in the next, and that's one of the ways that you can kind of play to beat Mono Blue, right? Just make them so they can't defend everywhere at once.
Yeah, Keenfolk Turret instead. If you have initiative, you can kill that Zeus there just with a Keenfolk Turret activation, and then still be able to play mana to deal with maybe a Luna coming to that lane instead. So we talked about the importance of lane 1, but maybe DrHippi giving it up a little bit. Still has 2 black heroes there.
I mean, not necessarily giving it up. So one of the really nice things is you can still gank from that lane 1 to set up your lane 2 and your lane 3 here. So you'll I'm slurring my words here. You don't need to have control in lane 1 to take advantage of lane 1.
But with initiative in favor of Swim, and we finally reached that 6 mana threshold, it means that all of a sudden some plays like Eclipse can come down, and Luna has been dead for a long time, but with 3 charges and no creeps here, it's still enough to do exactly enough damage to kill, Bounty Hunter and the Lich. So all of a sudden total control for DrHippi in lane 2 and 3, but lane 1 will be going down. If he can kill the Luna, but with 2 heroes, it's very tough. I would have liked to see a gank personally from Phantom Assassin last turn onto the Zeus, and it forces Luna to go here. But if you have initiative, you can then kill the Luna with maybe a coup, for example, and then equip Horn, and maybe just almost take this lane down as well. It's tough to call, though, for sure.
Yeah, now because of the presence of the Sanctum in lane 1, Swim actually has the ability to not only play the Eclipse, clean this up, but then refresh and use Arcane Assault to carry initiative into the second lane, and that opens up a lot of plays as well.
Or even Ignite, for example, kills that creep there. Well, it's right this time, finally.
So we see the Ignite, but that means that DrHippi has the opportunity to play cards. That is...
I guess at this point he just thinks he's so far ahead, he doesn't really need to contest this lane. He's fine just doing his own thing, but maybe he's not thinking about things like the second Keenfolk Turret, things like the gank as well, but this is risky. DrHippi is playing for initiative.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what DrHippi would want initiative for in the next lane that he couldn't do from here.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I mean, unless he really wants to take out Luna with like coup de grace, because Luna has 8 health, and right now neither one of these could gank her.
Yeah.
But other than that,
that's the main thing, I think. If Bounty or Lich could kill Luna with gank, there's, I think, no world in which DrHippi does not make that play as soon as the Ignite is played from Swim. But because that's not a possibility, the Janata did not proc this time for DrHippi. Stays at 7 attack, cannot kill the Luna. There's no Ignite here for DrHippi in black, obviously.
I suppose it's also possible that DrHippi is just really valuing the sniper activation before. Like maybe he was saying, okay, if I get initiative, I can just use sniper activation to take out Zeus, but
now uses uses initiative anyway, so.
Decided, all right, I like this play. Maybe passed earlier and changed his mind. I've been known to do that. Sometimes you're on one game plan and you go, well, maybe I want to do this instead.
Now, knowing Swim, there's no world in which he doesn't play for initiative here after the refresh.
My victory draws closer.
Yeah, I think that we're going to see him.
Cunning plan maybe into Arcane Assault possibly, because that's a big tell. Playing the Reptile Signet Ring onto Kana when it's not surviving means that it's probably going to be some form of combat trick with only 2 mana up for DrHippi. Means that there's very little option to counterplay this, and we'll probably see a cunning plan between Kana and the creep.
Or not. Maybe Swim is saying, I want to reposition this Kana anyway.
That makes
sense. They're going to give me a budget town portal.
Ooh.
Wow, and no initiative.
Arcane Assault. Now that could come back to bite him. There's a coup in hand for DrHippi. There's a horn as well. As long as he doesn't discard the horn, lane 2 is going to look really scary. But there's no... Actually, yeah, 5 mana Annihilation isn't there, so...
I'll make this look easy.
All right, so... Wow!
We jinxed it, Charmer. I'm sorry, DrHippi.
Wow! All things were going DrHippi until right now.
Swim knew what was happening. He knew all about this plan. He talked to the artifact gods. He just laughed it off.
I said it earlier. If you play enough hours, all RNG will go your favor. It's a fact. Swim's just put in the hours, man.
You can go for Iron Fog or Keen Fog, but not both. So in this case, Iron Fog goes down on the last lane. Going to get some extra gold at the end of the combat phase here, up to 17, but that was unfortunate. Still, only 1 deploy coming down for Swim. No Blink Daggers. There is gold, though. And that could have been definitely game-altering. So RNG, no Janata proc on the Bounty Hunter for the gank on Luna. And the discard of the horn there is absolutely massive for DrHippi, in a bad way.
Yeah, not
in a good way.
Not in a good way. And unfortunately for DrHippi, there are some sketchy arrows in that second lane. But if Swim does not take out this Lich, we could see Assassinate. However, Thunder God's Wrath says no. It's the proper play.
We said Sanctum, turn mana 7, and Thunder God's Wrath is scary, and we're going to see exactly why. I think there's no world in which we don't see it. Bloodseeker will also die. Gives control of lane 2 back to the Ogre Magi. And Phantom will survive with 1 HP.
Yeah, that discard from the coup de grace was so massive. It went from essentially locking things up for DrHippi to really letting Swim get back in this game. Swim's going to secure a tower, clear the board, create big windows of opportunity.
Annihilation is back online. And yeah, that was, again, we talked about so many times, the kind of turning point in some of these matchups. And that was definitely it for Swim. A little bit of luck on his side, but he's able to stop the aggro potential. But still, the horns are there. Well, one of them is, at least.
Now, we were talking about earlier that Black has a lot of tools to help combat Blue, right? The cross lane plays help, and there's a lot of ways to kill these squishy Blue heroes. However, we did also say that it matters who has initiative. Swim has all 3 Arcane Assaults in his hand. So Swim is fully in the driver's seat in my mind going forward, and DrHippi's going to need either Swim to make some mistakes, or DrHippi's going to need some RNG to go back in his favor so that he can catch a break or two.
There could be an Ancient race here. Horn is once again available for Phantom Assassin, but this lane is looking very wide and very dangerous for Swim as well, and it's lane 1, of course, so it goes before lane 3 and 2.
Yeah, Horn is active, you are 100% correct, but Swim's going to have 3 blue heroes coming down the following turn, and this Horn here is not enough to race right now. Now, DrHippi could try to pick off Ogre in that second lane.
Well, it's up to 9 HP because of the Stonehall Cloak and the Modify effect after.
Well, I mean, there's the Assassinate, though, that he had available, which would have been 10.
When you said pick off, I thought about, you know,
oh, yeah, yeah,
actually pick off.
Sorry. See, that's
in the literal sense, Charlie.
Yeah, that's...
Gotta clear this thing up.
Yeah. Sorry. my slang terminology happens to coincide with the name of a card. But, you know, could have been a consideration just because with the redeploy coming, it would have forced Swim to have to spread his resources across both lanes. This is a bit of a turning point.
15 seconds.
And now with, like you said, 3 Arcane Assaults, nothing really matters anymore for Swim because he knows that as long as he has the Arcane Assault going to the last lane and with Kana at 16 health, dodging the Assassinate potential kill, there's little that he can do. If we see 2 Assassinates and Black Heroes in different lanes, that could do it, but we'll see. Yeah, DrHippi decides to go all in on lane 2 instead, so not going to be the chance here. And we could just see, we'll probably see an Annihilation in lane 3. And yeah, this is looking to be very much in Swim's favor, to be honest.
Yeah, Swim is in full control, and, you know, just with these hounds, these creeps in the first lane and no presence by Hippie, it's a slow Ancient burn here as well. So Hippie on a bit of a clock.
He has a Sanctum as well. He can cycle with Compels instead of using it for the actual value in terms of, you know, combat trick. He's using it to cycle instead, which is perfectly fine at the end in the end game, and try and find, you know, his single bolt. Only has 1. Try and find the 3rd Thunder God's Wrath. Can maybe try and multicast a few cards in lane 2.
Yeah, because why not? Everything else has been going your way.
There it is. Thunder God's Wrath is found, so I guess anything we say happens. We talk about the horn being discarded, it gets discarded, so be careful with what you say, Charmer. Swim is not going to disconnect anytime soon.
So Swim is going to cycle a Compel and magically draw a red card, resulting in a DC. Because he loaded the wrong deck list. No.
I think that might not be possible.
Yeah, probably not.
The second Compel.
But we do see the Compel, and that's what we would expect.
Second Sanctum as well.
He's just going to, you know, he's got all of the initiative tools he wants, right? So he's going to cycle through as many cards as he can just to open up all of his tools, cross lane, play his Sanctum.
And perfect mana to play Arcane Assault, yep. So now this is just...
play the Arcane Assault.
Solitaire mode for Swim. At any cost comes down as well. We'll see if it's effective or useful at all in lane. It's pretty useful. I mean,
yeah,
Luna
with the Ignite,
survive.
This makes it so that if he wanted, he could essentially wipe this lane, but his Ogre would survive, his Luna, and his Zeus.
Yeah, all the heroes.
But going to get a Wrath instead. That takes care of the Phantom Assassin in the 3rd lane. We have a Sanctum here, so...
opens up some counterplay here for DrHippi.
But what are your options? I mean, you could assassinate something. You could just develop a steam cannon, because if your heroes are going to die, at least you'd have your improvements you could use. You know, little moral victory. But none of the plays here are very effective at the moment. Canna has a lot of health over there in lane 3, so Assassinate's not going to help you there.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, there's not much that DrHippi can do here, I think.
This will come in handy.
I'm going to stall out here. Not really going to do much more than that. If there was, you know, less heroes in this lane, sure, you can try and, you know, do something. But with 3 blue heroes, if you play, you know, we said there isn't any kind of AoE control spell from Black other than Chain Frost, and Lich isn't in play, but Chain Frost has not been drawn. So if you play a coup, you kill 1 blue hero, there's still 2 more left. Same with Assassinate.
All right, so Hippie tries to heal up, but unfortunately Swim says not enough.
They will fear me.
And now Hippie locked out of playing cards.
Arcane Assault will go down once again. Well, I mean,
if you would have played the Steam Cannon here, you could have picked off, killed, condemned, however you want to word it. I'm not going to say the word pick off again. But you could have, you know, potentially removed some additional heroes here, but none of those plays felt good, so I don't blame him. Swim's just going to repeat what he did in lane 1, which is draw as many cards as he can, and then...
all the hounds, they died because of that Diabolic Revelation. That just means Swim doesn't really value the fact he might go for an Ancient kill. Instead, going to try and just focus on drawing his cards, trying to find that single bolt maybe to end the game in the next 2 turns.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Swim just values drawing cards, drawing resources. Taking the damage here doesn't matter because you're going to annihilate lane 3 in all likelihood anyway.
He finds a Sanctum, but unfortunately just 1 mana off
Enemies of Salamene will
of being able to play that Sanctum.
Repositions Luna in lane 1. I wonder if that's because Swim's opening up the possibility of playing Eclipse in a later lane and he just wants the Lucent Beam to tick, because lane 1's kind of already secured, right? Getting a presence there doesn't have seemingly a lot of value, but...
Well, having 2 blue heroes over 1 is always huge when you think about, like we said, the single removal spells from black, like Coup de Grace, like Assassinate. The Vesture has been bought, so it's going to help with you know, a lot of this weak damage coming in from things like Dimensional Portal and hand there for Swim, and even Bolt. It reduces it down to 17 instead of 20.
The Vesture is also very important at combating annihilations, right? So one of the ways that you can attack Blue's board sweepers is to say, hey, you can clear this, but I'm going to keep coming back. So that's actually a very good pickup for Hippie. It also means that your Bolt, you have to get down to 17. Little, you know, little bit of a detail, but as we saw a couple of times today, every point of damage matters.
There's the Assassinate in lane 2. There's no Blink Dagger for Swim, so now this Lich is all by himself. And he has the Coordinated Assault already equipped, so that can, if he had some creeps next to him to help out.
Yeah.
That's the end of Bloodseeker's story. He does die after the initiative is lost, just to a Mystic Flare. But there's very little that Swim can do. He has Conflagration, I guess, but 17 health on the Lich.
Now, unfortunately, DrHippi has the Vesture and not another Horn because that got discarded.
That would be a big problem.
Yeah.
With Coordinated Assault as well, that would be a huge, huge problem.
But again, can still push a little bit of damage here, and every bit of pressure helps. Every bit of pressure.
I'd even like to see maybe a Pickoff and Steam Cannon. Well, you're only at 9 mana, but you could do both, I guess, if you blink from lane 2 to lane 3. And with those creeps in this lane, then you can use the Coordinated Assault buff to try and maybe go for lane 3 Ancient instead of lane 2. But it's a little bit trickier. We'll see.
I serve the nest of thorns.
Yeah, that is one option. You could also just casually save that for a setup on the following turn, right? Like, you're going to get 3 heroes coming back on the redeploy.
The Arcane Assault, although there's no more initiative to be played this turn, so I'm thinking about, you know, already the next turn altogether, thinking that if maybe for some reason DrHippi just passes all the way through, he can still keep initiative if you're Swim.
This was Swim's only opportunity to secure like 100% initiative there. So just avoiding a dry pass steal, I like that play.
Pull them all right away, just no reason not to. Takes down 1 of 3 improvements, a random improvement condemned, so no choice there. But now we're going to see how DrHippi pieces this through if he decides to go for this lane instead.
Right, so your choices here are essentially I can develop something like an improvement to give me more long-term value, or I can push as much damage as possible. And if that's the case, I would expect Blood Rage to follow.
Yep.
And
this double modify effect on Coordinated Assault, if he had some creeps landing in that lane, that could have been game.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they both went to lane 3 instead, so maybe RNG not in favor of DrHippi. I mean, the Horn discarded, the Janata proc at the very beginning with the gank not available. And those 2 creeps that would have ended the game 100% for DrHippi.
All right, so the Horn going over there to lane 2. We know that, oh, see, I like this. I like this a lot because if you play the Phantom Assassin in lane 1 with the Horn, right, you can then choose to see how Swim deploys and then save your Blink Dagger for the Phantom Assassin and then put it potentially in lane 3. If Swim goes double lane 2 like he's looking, then you can expect an Annihilation there. Maybe dodge it and try to push the Ancient in the 3rd lane. It's just, this placement gives him an awful lot of opportunities to read what Swim is going to do.
And we said, you know, Arcane Assault coming into play, but there are cards in black like Hipfire, like Chainfrost that can steal back initiative, so...
And there's a lot of cross-lane cards as well. So by putting 3 heroes here, you make it so that Swim, you know, essentially has to nuke the board. And it looks like he's going to try to prevent. All right.
Doesn't do too much, but still has 2 Sanctums and the zap there from Zeus onto Sniper, so still a fairly good outcome there for Dr. If he wants to blink this Phantom Assassin away, he has to equip the blink right now.
Right now.
Refresh will come in. At any cost, will not be killing the Phantom Assassin either way, so this is his chance, but then you can't really use the mana you have here. You have 10 mana available, so I'm going to go for the Horn instead, actually.
Wow, interesting.
It helps buffer damage if you are looking to Eclipse again.
Right, if you're worried about losing to an Ancient Kill yourself.
Yeah, Mystic Flare will do it here. We'll just kill the Phantom Assassin instead.
Now we'll see if there's a Snap Vesture here. Skyrath, interesting.
And it helps protect here because now it forces there to be only a 6 damage split between Tyler State and Phantom Assassin.
Yep, and there is the Vesture. Now
the Thunderhide could have taken up, a bit more of that damage to try and save Phantom Assassin, but in the end, she will die anyway. And I mean, double Sanctum, just too strong.
Yeah, Swim's showing exactly why the mono blue deck likes to take control of lane 1. Because if you can load the Sanctums there, then you can essentially use this lane to dictate how you're going to control the other 2 lanes.
I'm guaranteed we're going to see Arcane Assault here. There's no world in which we don't, because Coup de Grace is a possibility in lane 2. And that would be, guaranteed tower kill if there's not a blink from Luna, for example.
Yeah, Swim's going to cycle through a bunch of cards first. Just like he did the last time around. Make sure he has all of his options available.
The Bolt has been found. There's double prey on the weak as well. Might just be very close to lethal here. Not quite enough though. I think he has to play Arcane Assault instead, if the math checks out.
Yeah, but he is setting himself up so that next turn, this will be low enough that even with the Vesture in this lane, Bolt would finish him off. So I like this play. Again, Swim playing to his outs, just like he did before.
Arcane Assault comes in. Lane 2 for DrHippi is still at a fairly healthy 29, so Bolt can't just insta-win this game right now with initiative. Yeah. Annihilation comes out instead, stops any Coup de Grace play from DrHippi with Lich, and now this is just going to be a stall out here. Only creeps left in lane 3.
Now, the unfortunate thing for DrHippi is there's multiple blue heroes in that first lane, and you can only kill one of them with initiative here. So Swim is going to lock this up with a Bolt play in lane 1, I think. There's nothing that DrHippi can do to really prevent this.
There's a Vesture already on Phantom Assassin.
Yeah, but the tower's at 15, so even with the armor.
With the second Vesture coming in, though. That's 6 armor, so...
I mean, it would take it out of Bolt range, potentially.
And with 2 Vestures and 6 armor, all of these creeps and heroes do nothing as well.
Yeah, potentially, but all that means that Swim has to do is then pivot to killing the heroes, and then refreshing with the Sanctums, and then bolting. So
he has Eclipse at 7 charges, Mystic Flare as well.
Well,
the armor here will...
And now Swim...
Yep, Mystic Flare will kill Bloodseeker, 2 low health pool in the end, and that opens up the chance for Bolt to, seal the deal here. You have the refresh. There's a coup available for DrHippi, but again...
Yep. Swim knows doesn't have to rush this Bolt, so...
Making use of all his mana. Has some extra mana there before the refresh, and at this point, there's not anything that DrHippi can do. Just passes. Too many blue heroes to deal with, and the Bolt will seal the deal here.
Yeah, and he knows. All right. That is a heck of a series.
Yeah.
We saw some great play from both players, a lot of back and forth. We did at least see the blueprint for how that black deck might be able to target the blue. Unfortunately for DrHippi, a very, very critical discard with that Coup de Grace. You can't help but wonder how things would have went if the Horn had not been the card that was pitched.
And the creeps as well, the turn before. If they would have gone in Lich's lane with the Coordinated Assault, could have been lethal on that second lane tower instead.